Welcome back to 1010's podcast. I'm your host, Robbie Grial, and across from me, I have three people for the first time. I think it's the first time we've ever had this many people on a Zoom chat. I got Adam all the way from Iowa. I got Dusty all the way from Tejas. And then I also have Matt all the way from Tejas. So it's a Texas podcast.
Farther south, Tejas, even.
So Tejas is probably even more accurate.
So the funny thing is we're both in Texas, but we're farther apart than you are in Iowa and Ohio right now.
Yep.
No,
are we really?
Yeah.
Don't do the math on it.
It's probably not that far off from being true, though. That's the sad part.
I had to think, I was like, is he fucking with us right now?
Sad part is I'm probably not that much farther away from Dusty either. So
yeah,
because I can get to Dallas in a pretty easy 8-hour drive.
Oh, that's definitely
Austin's
closer.
Austin's what, 6?
It's about 3.5 hours.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Until the traffic hits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
35 is the best.
Yeah, I've made the 3.5 hour trip to Austin in 6.5 before. Yeah,
absolutely. So, I'm so hot and sweaty and gross.
That makes 3 of you.
Yeah.
Apparently it's always sunny and 65 in Ohio, like it's San Diego or something.
It is. It was like 70 and sunny today. It was really nice. I went and jogged outside.
And storming. But
no. Tomorrow will be
anyway. Let's talk about
our guest.
Let's talk about denim composites.
There's nothing I like talking about more than denim composites.
Well, first, let's take a step back and let's go.
Okay.
Who the hell are you, and what is it that you do?
My name is Matt Beck. That depends, I guess. Let's see. I guess, in this context, I have a Nissan, which is like, most of the people here. I don't know what Adam's driving now. Minivans?
Nope, it's not a Nissan.
Okay.
It's not a Nissan.
Right. So, yes, I have I guess you could call it a GLTC car. I run a 1989 Nissan 240SX. Bought it about 10 years ago, actually this weekend. And it's been just kind of like a fun project car, turned into a track car, turned into a GLTC car. And so been able to race with you, Robbie, at only one event so far.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess I feel bad about bringing that up now. But
you raced.
I was at Road America. Road America was my first GLTC event. Actually, God damn it, that was my second Coda, but I don't do much. Anyways, So
speaking of bad GLTC weekend,
I literally buried that memory deep in my brain. I forgot about it already.
In football, they call it a false start. It's okay. Ready, and then we just kind of take a step back, and then we go again. Yeah.
We don't talk about Coda 2024. Road America, first event, didn't even attempt it. Yeah. So anyways, I had a really bad time at my first GLTC event out at Coda. I had a brand new engine, LS6 that was built by an ex-friend. We don't talk anymore. Blew up on the first lap of practice, and I rage quit the LS, and now I have a VQ35HR in my car, which is the same engine Dusty runs in a Z. And yes, it is. It's been awesome. I love it. And I'm now like a VQ nerd, which is really weird because I've been an LS guy locally for a very long time.
That's such a strange switch because usually it's the other way around.
Yes, it is. I've been talking to Michael Hilo a lot, obviously, for what he's doing, and I gave him a little bit of pause, but he still went full bore into it. So I wish him all the best this weekend, and I'm excited to see that car out there.
But Robbie kind of did the same thing too because it wasn't in the same chassis, but he did have an LS swapped Nissan. It was a 240.
Yep.
When did you
sold for the VQ powered 350? So
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Was this a while ago?
Yeah. I had an LS swapped S14 that was like the car that started it for me, and then I did some time attack with it, and then sold it. Actually, I traded it for a GTO, and then sold that to fund the GLTC car.
Got it. Cool.
I guess you had both of them for a little while, didn't you?
Actually, quite a while.
Yeah, they did overlap for a while because
Like
that was
at least 2 years.
The Z was going to be a drift car.
Yep. Talked myself out of that one.
My, how times have changed.
Yeah, actually, so I got into cars. I had a 1976 Z. I had a roommate in college that drove around a small block Chevy swap 240Z. So I got it that way. And then I don't know why I've always been a Nissan nerd, but I had an S14 first. And that was a KAT 85, pretty crazy car. But yeah, I had a bunch of problems with the KAT for some reason. They're supposed to be pretty reliable. But anyway, sold that S13 coupe probably, I don't know, 5 years later. But yeah, had a lot of Nissans over the years.
It's always wild to me, people that come into cars like later in life, like, because I grew up at a drag strip and I've been around them my entire life. So people that come across it later in life as an adult and then just dive headfirst into it over the span of a few years, it's a very interesting thing to me because I've never known anything else. So
yeah, first project car was when I was 19, and yeah, I talked to a lot of people, and their dad had some cool car or whatever, was in the family. But yeah, so I don't know, kind of random. One of my friends was out at Coda. He came by and got a ride along in my car, and he was like, "Yeah, kind of want to do an interview. Like, why are we like this?" And I don't know either. But yeah, it really struck the nerve. I remember that 240Z I rode in with the V8, just like a light switched on in my brain. Probably, for better or worse, however you want to take that. But
that's the power of the Z car, because
yeah,
I rode in the world's worst 1983 280ZX, or actually I drove it, and like that sold me on Z cars.
Nice.
I have no idea why. It was literally the worst car. There was no redeeming qualities about it, but it was also still hilarious fun. So
yeah, they're good. Can't beat an inline six,
Oh, you could that one with pretty much anything.
Oh man, I don't know why people end up in Nissans.
Because
Such a
they're
strange
great.
thing to me.
It's weird.
Such a strange thing to me. I don't know. I mean, I get the Z thing. Sure, they're pretty cool. I'll give you that. The old ones are great. I love the old ones. The new ones are, I don't know.
They're fine.
Whatever. I've been around them for so long because so many of my friends have had one that they've kind of passed in and out of my life so many times. It's like, man, another one. Here we go. So
mine goes back to like seeing the original 350 concept car whenever I was in like 8th grade or something like that.
Remember that one?
And it was like everything was retro at that point. That was when they did the new T-Bird and like the 05 Mustang and all that stuff. And it was all just so blatantly just like pound you in the face. Like, this is retro. And then the 350 just had the cues, but it still looked modern. And I was like, that's just the coolest. Like, that's the coolest approach to this overall styling thing that I don't like. and there's still one sitting in my garage today. So
how many engines have gone through your S chassis then, Matt?
I feel personally attacked right now.
That's a rude
Actually,
question.
I didn't mean that way until I realized halfway through that question. I meant more like, did you say you bought it LS powered?
No, I didn't.
Or no, KAT powered.
No, sorry, it's getting confusing. So the S14 was KAT. I had a little bit of a break where I was dyed-in-the-wool Chevy nerd. I had a C5 and a Firebird and all that. But anyways, so I bought this car in 2015, like I said, like 10 years ago, and to LS swap it. I'd always wanted to do an LS swap. I'd never done that. I'd obviously done, taking motors in and out of cars and turbo things. But I, heard about how great LSs were, and I was in that camp for a number of years. But so it came with I bought the car. It was already dual overhead cam K swapped. So it was a 89. They came with a single cam K. So when I got it, it had at least 2 motors in it at that point. Right. But who knows? Cause it was pretty old at that point. Put a iron block 5.3 called an LM7 in there with a really goofy transmission called an NV3500 just to get it running. Ooh. It was broke as shit as a college kid.
Pickup truck transmission.
Yes. I remember starting in second gear and it would hit the limiter in about half a second. So I immediately went out and found a used TPT6, which I just hate them so much. They're so bad. And eventually went to a TKX, which is what I have in there now. But anyways, it was like iron block 5.3. Then I had an L33 in there for many years, spun rod bearing, That was my first sign. I got a different junkyard L33, which is an aluminum 5.3, all Gen 3 motors. Then it had that built LS6 I actually had in the car before. Bought a crate LS3, one of those 525 jobbies from Jegs. That blew up.
E-Rod or whatever?
Yeah, but it was just a long block because I already had the setup. So I converted to Gen 4 for that. That was 23 in the summer. That ran Grid Life, Heartland Park, where actually I think it was the first event I ever saw y'all at. But
I remember the car there at least.
Cool, awesome.
Sure.
Yeah,
So,
I remember watching you huck it into turn 8 on the back and just being like, "Oh my god!"
full circle moment. Okay, so that was the first event that I ran ABS here. The only reason I have ABS in my car is because I listen to this podcast, and Robbie was doing it to his car, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I think I have all those parts in my car already because I'm running a Z32 diff with the sensors, and I just chucked some." Like Nissan Maxima or something I found in the junkyard up on the front. So yeah, thanks, Robbie. That's super cool. My car is went to a different tier with ABS in it. So I just that's crazy.
You're welcome. And I remember you came and borrowed my cable at Road America. Because of the
really
podcast.
I felt I was embarrassed because like I try to be prepared when I'm at the track, and my INPA cable did not make it into the thing for whatever reason. And the reason that it broke is I was street driving it before I went to Heartland's, and it was raining, and the connector the connector was broken and it got water in it. So, but anyways, with that cable, I was able to immediately diagnose it. But
nice.
Yeah, I'm a huge like MK60 stan now. We're the cool thing about the local Austin community, we have a autocross club called Spokes, which I've been racing with for oh my god, probably 12 years now. And like, there's one person that like figures it out, and then everybody else does it after them. So I'm the MK60 guy. We had an EPS guy, we have LS guys. So, it's cool. It's cool to see that come like proliferate through our group because I had so much success with it just as a standalone.
That's really funny because like I know, so I stole a lot of information from Austin Hurdle, and then a bunch of other forums and whatnot, and kind of put it all together and had like my own file. And then I had multiple people ask me about it, and then I wrote the how-to that I posted on Track Tuned. And I remember Matt Williams called me one time just to catch up. And he was like, yeah, the other day we were at work and they were like installing this Mark 60 into whatever car they were doing. And he goes, and I looked up and it was like, it's your article. And apparently that's like still the number 2 article on Track Tuned any month, like any given month. So I'm glad I'm being helpful.
Yeah.
It's right behind Jabez. This is why your harness bar is going to kill you.
That's usually number one. I think that's always number one.
Do you know how many times I've shared that article to random Facebook groups with people who don't know any better, and I just don't know how better to say that than whatever he wrote. I mean, I've shared that article dozens of times to very much not Grid Life specific places.
Yep.
Just please understand this,
I'm going to take this as an opportunity to, complain about how bad the internet is in 2025. So I was actually looking for a place to put a write-up. I haven't done a write-up in many years, but I made a DIY cooler. And a lot of people I put like a story up on Instagram. A lot of people contacted me about it. They're like, what guide did you use? And I was like, my eyeballs? I don't know. So I was trying to figure out where to like write it all up, where it could like I could send a link to it. So I went to TrackTune, and I haven't been there in a couple months, and there's a bunch of like bots in there now, like posting about like ED pills or some shit. So anyways, we need to get with Adam or whoever runs that site. But so what do you I mean, y'all are my age. Like, do you remember like being able to find information on the internet?
Yes. It was on
forums. My college days, forums
what
were
happened?
amazing. I
Nico
loved
Club
forums.
and Zilvia. Yeah, man. Like,
what happened? It's so bad.
So what happened was a company called Automotive Brands bought all of them, and they cleaned out the people that ran them that gave a shit about anything, and then they just sold all of the space as remnant advertising, and then also Facebook. But
I was going to say, I think that Facebook was mainly the issue.
The transition to social media didn't help, but companies buying them and taking everything that was good about them and making it bad, like that didn't help the situation any. And then trying to find there's several awesome Z groups on Facebook, but trying to find information, like
it's gone.
I'm
man.
constantly trying to figure out something that my car is doing stupid, and I go and search in those groups, and it's beyond me how to find actual information like that.
Yep.
Well, and so I after being on Facebook for 20 years, which is just a wild thing to say, I had my account deactivated for the last couple months just because I was like, it wasn't giving me any value. It's just like boomers talking about random stuff. So people would send me links to like Facebook Marketplace ads and things like that. It's actually really hard to like not have an account. But like the point is like it's all behind a wall, a login wall or whatever it is. So like the forums, you would just send someone a link and they could read it, and like you didn't necessarily need to log in. Sometimes you did, but it's been really frustrating trying to operate now in this current landscape. It's just it's really annoying. It's like at the detriment of the car community, you know.
I think it's bigger than the car community, but
yeah,
yes.
that's
for
true.
sure.
That's true.
Yeah, it's enthusiast groups of any kind, I feel like, and it's taking something where people used to dive in and get excited about creating things and having hobbies like that, and it's just force feeding them political propaganda.
Yeah. Do y'all ever struggle with like, am I just like an old grumpy man yelling at clouds, or like, but this is actually bad too? Like, I really, you know,
I don't struggle with it. I embrace it.
Okay, got it.
I'm fully aware.
So we many years ago, we accepted that 28 was kind of the peak,
Sure.
and that everything after that is just downhill, and we just all become crabby old men. And the sooner we embrace that, the better off we were.
I'm not too worried about it. I'm trying to get one. There's been some young like 20 somethings that have been joining the track communities, and they'll like come up and ask for advice and stuff. And I'm really trying to not be an old head too much.
Right. Yeah.
Like I just came out the other day. We were at Coda, and these young kids who didn't have any money were like, "How do I get into Super Lap Battle?" And I was like, "Just don't. I mean, like it's a waste of money. Like,
Okay, save us
Start
Save
with
up.
our local TT groups that run
I
normal
know.
tracks.
Yeah, don't waste $2,000 to go slower than a GLTC car by 10 seconds is
Right.
kind of what I wanted to tell them, but you know, I was being nice.
The next thing you should tell them is go to medical school.
Yeah, or just do
Be a
anything.
doctor.
Just like sit at your house, you know.
Yeah, the way to get really good at cars is to make a lot of money doing something else, and then
Yeah.
So I've gotten to the point now where I'm the old guy at work, and I work with a bunch of early 20-somethings. And I constantly am finding myself reminding me that 21-year-old me was probably an idiot as well.
Definitely.
And like that 38-year-old me would hate to work with 21-year-old me. And these guys are in that same boat right now. And I just have to constantly remind myself that, like, just be patient. Just explain to them. Just tell them what's going on. It's going to be okay. They'll get there.
Yeah.
Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. That's not the point. It's just like, oh, man, I hate how old I am now.
Don't worry, it gets
Death
worse.
comes for us all, you know.
so outside folks group, y'all have another kind of crew of people that kind of does stuff.
Yeah, actually, I didn't close the loop on that. So I got started in cars, just working on them. So I'm actually, I like to say I'm just a car guy that happens to be racing. I really love the whole process of building and making a car better and all that stuff. But I got involved in autocross. I actually lived in Northwest Arkansas for about 5 years, and got involved with the club up there. Actually, I think y'all might run with them sometimes. Do y'all know Ozark Mountain Region? Robbie, have you run with them before?
No, but I'm actually going to.
Dusty?
I will be in July.
Cool. I thought I heard something about it. But so I ran with those guys for a while. Moved to Austin in 2013. Got really really involved in like solo nats. I don't know if y'all know anything about Texas Folks, the autocross club, but it's one of the bigger organizations that go to like solo nats, and they're really involved with the SCCA. But the reason why that they're like the SCCA loves us so much is like the group is really really welcoming, and they throw the wildest party on the taxiway. Yeah. We literally won the party last year. We were given like a trophy or something. But so I was there probably 6 months, and then one of my best friends down here, his name's Jason Kupka, call him Cupcake. He was like, "Hey, so you're going to Nats, right?" And they're like, "What? I'm a garbage novice. Like, well, what are you talking about?" He's like, "No, you're coming to Nats, right?" So that might not seem like a big deal, but like that really kind of got me into the national like level autocross. I'm not like I've never been good at national level autocross, but just like in that group. And so I've actually like tried to emulate that for the new people. You don't logic through it or explain to them. Just be like, hey, we're going to this thing, like come with us. But so anyways, the culture of Spokes is really cool and just brings people in, super inviting. Some people, it can seem cliquey because we've been together, like we've been hanging out for so long. But anyways, it's just a really cool, welcome group. But that's Spokes. We also have, I don't know how to describe this. There's like a bunch of track rats. Most of them are like NASA people. Space agency drivers, but we, all the Austin folks, we're going to. We have a local club track just south of Austin called Harris Hill. It's probably, I don't know what to compare it to, but it's a really very chill local track. It's not too expensive, and so a bunch of us are just down there probably like 2-3 times a month because we got a lot of members out there. But then we also, so I'm an instructor with this group called Edge Addicts out at Coda, so I'm out there 4 or 5 times a year. There's a new organization out there this weekend that I was on. But yeah, we all kind of run in the same group. So like I got my autocross friends and my track friends, and they kind of overlap as well a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm really the Austin car community is pretty awesome. Like everybody kind of knows each other. It's a pretty small big town.
Yeah, I see all of your stuff with being at the track all the time, and then like you guys wrenching together and stuff like that. And it's like there's some little groups of people around Dallas that have a little bit of that going on, but it seems like it's a bigger group down there. But maybe I'm not out in it enough here to know what's really going on. But
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of it kind of motivates you, like seeing all the people like doing the same amount of effort, that I'm putting into my car. So actually, I'm going to do some podcast meta here. The reason that I don't even know how I found 1010's podcast, will be completely honest. I don't know if it was like a slip angle call out or something. I literally can't remember. But the reason
it was the sister episode.
Oh, clearly, yeah. Well, so anyways, the reason I like listen to this is just because y'all are just doing your own thing in a part of the country that I have I didn't have any connection with until I started running with Grid Life, and so that was really cool. And so one of my local friends was like, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast?" I was like, "Sure." And so we actually do a podcast just talking about like the local stuff that's going on in our region. So yeah, shout out again to 1010s. This is cool. I like hearing about what other people are doing, specifically in our niche, because you see people maybe social media stuff or like the pro teams, people with lots of money, but I don't care about any of that. I just want to see what people are working on and the stuff that they're working through at the same level that I'm at. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, exactly.
And you teamed up with a guy who is from Australia, so you guys sound like super authoritative on any subject you cover. He sounds like he knows it.
Exactly. I mean, if you have someone with a British or Australian accent, you're good. You're in.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Some of the most fun I've ever had with cars was whenever I first got my Z, and we had a group of there was 7 or 8 of us that were all levels of prep from a car that was really well built to me and a couple of others that were just bone stock cars on all seasons. And we autocrossed for 3 full seasons all together, and just everybody progressed, and everybody was pulling off these parts and selling them to somebody else so they could buy new parts and all that kind of stuff. And that was, those were the days. That was a ton of fun.
Hell yeah.
I really miss we used to have a little go-kart track about 45 minutes from my house that was big enough that you could run one full-size car at a time there. So we did what they called autocross, but it was kind of on a track. And we used to run with a group that was just technically a Mustang club. And because it's a track, you don't have to work. There's just one person on a flagging stand. That's it. That was what got us into actually autocrossing. That's kind of what got me out of just doing straight line things with my dad growing up. And I really miss that atmosphere because that was more laid back than an autocross could be because we could hang out a lot more since we didn't have to work.
Definitely.
And it was fun. I miss that a lot.
Definitely.
So that was some of the like best times I had with cars was doing. That's where I met Michael Beck, rest in peace. And that's kind of where I got Robbie swept into this crap.
Yep.
So I apologize for that, Robbie. And that's kind of where the podcast was born. And that place was fun. I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss having that place we could all go and hang out and be dumb.
Yeah, that place was a lot of fun. A lot.
I had this really weird wave of nostalgia yesterday. So we go out to, I was going out to actually do the instructing at COTA. But anyways, we used to autocross in this really shitty lot called Lot H. It was torn up. It was garbage. It was wavy. It was already breaking up. But we lost that site last year. We had an unfortunate incident where a GR86 might have contacted somebody walking around to where they shouldn't have been. So we were uninvited from that area, but we raced out there for probably 10 years, I think. And I have an album that, is on my TV of all the pictures I've taken of like my dogs. And there's a lot of pictures out there from COTA. And so we hadn't run out there for probably 6 months, but I realized that I was like, oh my God, we'll like never hang out here again. Cause like, I don't think COTA's ever going to let us go back. But like, at the time you're like, this is a shit lot that we get 30-second courses in there. But, you never know what you got till it's gone. Right. This cool little go-kart track was, probably got some fond memories with you.
Yeah, that's the story of autocross in Dallas as well. It's like everybody complains about the lot. Somebody at the management of the lot gets mad at us, and then we never see the lot again. And then we're like, well, maybe Mineral Wells wasn't so bad.
Mineral Wells was great, besides like the weather and where it was. But like, yeah, the site was so awesome, and it like you could have such a party there. Yeah, I really miss going out there, and it was like dirt cheap. I think you could rent that place for like $500.
Jeez.
Yeah. And you could do like 85-mile-an-hour autocross courses out there.
100%. Yeah, they were doing.
Wasn't that a nationals area? Like, I know they didn't run.
Yeah, they did.
Like, but that was a tour stop, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's how I know it. We would go up there for pro solos and tours.
Yeah.
At least, once each. So at least twice a year I'd go up there.
The fun thing of mirrored pro solo courses on a lot that is like completely different from one half to the other. So
this is going to be a topic change, but it just triggered a memory. Dusty, are you aware of my Cam Mustang?
I'm not.
Oh, wow. It'd probably be helpful for a picture. So this debuted at Mineral Wells for the Pro Solo. So what happened was, I love Japanese cars, right? And but I at the time.
I've seen a picture of this.
Okay, good. I like you, or where I'm going with this. So I had 200 treadwear tires. I didn't want to buy Hoosier A7s, so I was just kind of like about the 200 treadwear life. And Cam was out and like very popular. And so I had a C5 Corvette at the time, so I was running it in Cam S occasionally. I actually won the Texas Pro Solo that's the only autocross accomplishment I've ever had in my C5. But so I was asking the SCCA, like, hey, can we have one of these for imports? You could call it Classic Un-American Muscle, maybe, something like that.
Or Extreme Street.
Yeah, exactly. So, but this was way before Extreme Street.
No, I like Classic Un-American Muscle.
We workshopped that quite a bit.
Well, also
the class letters would be an interesting.
I love that.
There
That
you
needs
go.
to be on cards for sure. That's great. I'm into that a lot. That's fantastic. UA. There has to be an A there, guys. Come on.
You heard exactly as we said.
Nope, it's one word. Un-American, that's one word. There's no space in there.
So I had no kids at the time, and just I was I guess mischievous or whatever, and so I was like, you know what? Let me see what the wheelbase is on a Fox Body Mustang. So I checked it out. It's about an inch different than an S chassis. So what I did was there was a town just south of us, like just out in the country, south of Austin. Guy was selling a Fox Body roller chassis with a title. I got it for like $100. So I took all the body panels off of it, and like it was a GT, so it had the side skirts and the cool bumpers and everything. And I built some brackets for it. And so I took the front end off my car and I bolted the Fox body. It was a fixed headlight, like the later gen, I think it was a 94 or something, to my S chassis, my S13 coupe. And I cut the side skirts to the length and everything. And you will not believe this. I don't think people actually believe me, but the rear bumper, I drilled 2 holes on each side. The rear bumper bolted onto my S chassis. I'm not shitting you.
No way.
It is the same dimension. It was meant to be. It was ordained from the Holy Spirit or whatever. Anyway, so I put the title in my glove box from the Mustang, and I registered as a 1992 or whatever the hell Mustang GT. And so I ran it as a Mustang in the Pro Solo Cam Challenge. And it had Corvette wheels on it. It had these spacers for Corvette wheels. So I put Ford badges on the Corvette wheels. And I painted it the same color. And so I ran the whole Pro Solo in that thing. And I was in the challenge. I did well enough to get in the challenge. And Raleigh Breen, who's like the guy who runs that class, he's writing down the list of people. And I'm probably like 15th out of, the cutoff was 20 or something like that. And so he says the guy who was in front of me, and then he says my buddy Kent Kroll's name, and it finishes out the list. I was like, I beat Kent. I should be in here. And so they didn't even have the audacity to say like you're illegal or kicking you out. They just skipped over my name. I did all that, and they just like they didn't even like recognize it. They were just too butthurt about it, I guess. But anyways, sorry, that was a long story, but that was like kind of fun. And the Pro Solo.
That's amazing.
That's a great
so proud of
story.
you for
That is a great story.
That's so good.
So I think
Did you find a picture?
I just searched 240SX and 240SX Mustang, and I think did you have a clear spoiler on it?
Yes, I did. I had an SP style. This car makes the rounds about once every 6 months, and everybody says it's Photoshop. Every single person, and I'm not gonna like argue on the internet about it, but like it's real.
The thing I like about it is that the front end is just wide enough that it has like the GTP looking wide body, like the fin out, and there's an air gap.
One of the funniest things I ever heard. I heard a lot. I heard some guys, some car guys at that Pro Solo were walking around my car. And they're like, man, this thing's so sick. Look, he spaced out the fenders for aero. And because it was about 3 inches wider per side in the front. Somehow it tapered back to the same exact width in the back. But yeah, I just sat there. I didn't say anything. I just let them kind of talk about it and listened in. It was funny. It was good times.
That's
hilarious. Shit! I found it.
What do you think? How was my craftsmanship?
That's shockingly good.
Yep. How good is it?
Yep.
That looks really
the fenders look purpose. Yeah. He gapped them out. Exactly. Yeah. It's
Thank you.
That's
the arrow is just perfect.
Amazing.
Yeah. I get regular requests to bring it back, but I asked the GLTC chat, I was like, would anybody be mad if I like showed up with a Fox body front end? And nobody seemed too mad about it. So
no,
I think they would be cool. More mad if you don't.
Yeah. I'm offended that you don't do it, man.
All right, maybe I'll bring it back for 2026.
You didn't do it.
All right.
You have what, like a day to get it together?
Change.
No, you could do it before Midwest Festival if you really cared.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm crewing. I'm not driving, unfortunately.
But, oh, really?
Almost all of the comments on this Reddit thread are about how atrocious the giant rear clear spoiler are.
Yeah. There was
That's all they care about.
I know I think some 240SX page shared it on Instagram or something. One of the first mega comments on it was like. They're like when you want to hit the track at 3 and hit the crowd at 5 or there were some good comments about it.
I'm shocked at how good that works.
Yep. Oh, there's
it was a really stupid idea that actually came out like really well.
The side
Lord.
Head skirt is what really sells it, I think.
Yep. I think I cut out about 3 to 4 inches out of that side skirt, but everything else pretty much. I mean, zip ties can mount anything, but I was shocked at how well it. But that rear bumper, I'm sure no one cares about that part, but it blew my mind that.
No, the back looks honestly, it looks factory.
Yeah, you wouldn't question that one.
Like it looks reasonable on there.
The Mustang, like in the bumper, it's just the chef's kiss part of it.
I forgot about that because you can't really see it that well in this picture. But
yeah,
it is just like imprinted in the back bumper, isn't it? Oh,
it has to be a Mustang.
That is funny. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So good.
So there's someone up here that has I think it's a Genesis that's LS swapped, that if he happens to enter it in an event, he registers it as a Korean Camaro.
Nice. Yes. Is it Brad McCann? Is that who wrote that?
I think Brad's name comes up with it, but one I'm thinking of that's LS swapped is
oh yeah, Brad is Stockman.
Man, I can't think. Blanton Payne is the one that
nice.
is the LS swapped one. Yeah, but
heard that name before. Oh, I forgot the most important part. The nickname was the faux body, so FAUX body.
Nice.
Yeah, I had some friends with some more class names.
You guys are too clever with the names.
No,
it's almost too much to handle.
So that we did the Cam Challenge the first couple of years, whenever it was just a standalone event out at Mineral Wells, and yeah, I can see Raleigh being a little bit not fond of this whole ordeal.
Honestly, I think that's all the reason to do it.
It makes it even better.
To lean into it and just.
So the car, this thing keeps coming up, like, if someone will find it and post it somewhere, and then it starts to, like, people get mad all over again. But it's actually really fun in retrospect, because I think this was in like 2019, 2020, something like that. It was pre-COVID, and everybody gets like mad again. They're like, "How could you ruin this 240, whatever?" And then, like, I don't know if you've seen my car now, but it looks pretty sweet. So it is always I get to chuckle and not get worked up, because, like, that was the faux body was a lot of work. I knew it was stupid, but, like, I put some elbow grease into that. But now I'm like, nah, I have a badass car, and it's like, I still have the parts. I can put it back on there. It's fun to just see it, because it makes people get excited to see it.
I found the opposite. I found one that's a Photoshop of a hatch with an S15 front end on it.
Yeah, I started people will always send me swaps now when they find something like that. And you're like, it's Matt's car.
He's the unnecessary automotive front end swaps Facebook group in real life.
I think I built that before I knew that group existed. But yeah, people are always sending me stuff in that.
Wow.
Awesome. Do we have time to talk about Targa?
We have nothing but time.
Adam, sorry. Go ahead.
No, well, I was hoping that it was maybe my turn to talk about denim composites.
Please.
Because,
what do you know about Dickley, Denim Industrial Composites LLC? What do you know about it?
So what I know about it, first of all, my mom is literally the biggest denim fan on the planet. Like, my mom has a denim couch, and that's not a joke.
Not a joke.
Do we need to send her a speed in our jeans decal?
There was one. One weekend that I was at my parents' house, not that long ago, where I went around and took pictures of all the various denim related things and sent them to our group chat, because it just seemed like the right thing to do. And so that was the thing. But so denim runs deep in my family.
Hell yes.
I don't own anything but jeans. Don't own any shorts, nothing. I wear jeans 365 days a year.
You wouldn't survive down here, but okay.
I would figure it out. Cowboys wear jeans too. I'm just saying.
Touche.
But so when I saw your car first, I didn't notice it at Heartland, which I'm actually really sad I didn't notice it at Heartland, because my parents were there. Was it
Denim Industrial Composites did not exist at that moment? No.
Okay, well, that makes me feel a little better. When I first noticed it at the GLTC event that you attempted to attend,
tried my best
at CODA, I was, I don't know, speechless is probably a good term for it. Like, few things have gotten me that excited about cars in the last probably 3 to 5 years, for sure.
Dude.
That I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, that is maybe one of the most amazing pieces of custom craftsmanship I've ever seen in my life.
Are you going to be at Midwest Fest?
I am not going to be at Midwest Fest.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I'll tell you anyways. So the president and head fabricator at Denim Industrial Composites, one of my best friends, his name's Danny Moore. So he is the mastermind behind all this. So he has got a fresh 6-inch street mod splitter for his 500 horsepower EF Civic that he will be debuting at Gingerbread.
Oh my God!
So it is. I'm gonna deep dive in here. It's awesome. We built mine first.
Please.
The GLTC splitter was the first, like, in the wild on track. So what he was trying to do was make it look really, really like jeans, right? Let me step back. Let me explain to the people what denim.
So I need to know how we turned.
How did we get here? How did we get here? Okay, so we're at my friend Todd Roberts' house, spokes guy, national multi-deep repair champion at autocross. He's very fast. We're at his house. He has a Christmas party every year, and we'd had a couple of beverages. We were probably 4 or 5 in, and so we started joking about what's the strongest fabric known to man. What does Chuck Norris wear? It's denim. So what if instead of carbon fibre or whatever fiberglass, what if we made aero parts out of denim, right? So that was a joke. We laughed about it. We talked about it for literal years.
Like any good idea, it starts in front of a pyramid of beer cans.
Exactly.
That's a joke.
It's a joke. So we talked about it for like literally 2-3 years, and then finally, so my friend Danny and I, we had kids around the same time, so there was some family stuff that got in the way of our denim company. But anyways, so we found some more time now that the kids are getting older, and so GLTC was the first prototype denim spoiler. So it is he literally would go to Goodwill and get jeans, right? And so it took him a while to figure out like how to make it look like a jean, because if you look at it from a distance, it's kind of hard to tell. The first time he did it, it was too dark, like it almost looked like carbon fiber, which who wants that on your car? So
squares like Robbie.
It's just ridiculous.
No. Yeah. That's way too expensive. Forget that.
So we're actually trying to figure out. I'm gonna work up the courage to ask Ryan if I can actually denimify my Zebulon end plates actually on my car. But anyways, that's down the road. So he put actual jeans on top of the fiberglass and wood splitter, as you do. And the problem was he wanted the look to look very jean-y. Is that a word you could say? And so he didn't put epoxy on it. So within the first, my car broke, so I'm like working on it, right, or looking at it, and so it had like grease stains, like dirty work jeans, like within a week, which was like kind of a fun thing. But then after a while, it just got so dirty that you couldn't even really tell what it was. So
it becomes a fire hazard at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just raw jean material,
just soaked in oil and fuel
and epoxy. So over time, my good friend Smoko, the co-host of my podcast, he went on One Lap last year, and they made a really big splitter for it. I think it might have been 6 inches, and so he figured out a way to really bring out the blue in the jeans, and so it's crazy. It looks awesome, and he just finished up his latest one that he's taking in Gingerman next week. But we also. So now Danny's been making splitters for like the autocross club, because he'll do it in whatever you want. Like he'll do carbon fiber if you want. He's just really good at fiberglass stuff now. But so we had one guy who wanted I don't know if he asked for this or Danny thought it up, but he calls it the surfboard style. So it's the raw plywood, or it's not plywood. It looks like actual wood splitter. And then he does he prints a design on a rice paper. So our buddy Jeff's car is called Black Betty. To Miata, and so he the cartoon Black Betty Boop. Sorry, that's the one I'm thinking of. So he printed out
the different cartoon.
Yeah, whatever it is. God, what is the name? There was some relation to that. Anyway, so he put the little Betty Boop on the splitter, and it looks like a surfboard. It's a really cool design. Cool. But yeah, so there's all obviously the jean thing is the funny thing that we obviously want to do more of, but it's really cool that all the stuff he's making now. I'll have to send y'all some pictures later. But so we're the first. I think the second thing after my splitter was Smoko had the crazy front splitter, and then he made end plates for him with pockets, with functional pockets.
Yep.
So Smoko had, I think he tossed a 20 in one of the pockets and ran all of one lap with just 20 hanging out of the pocket on the end plate. So if you look at Smoko's Instagram, you can go see pictures of it. But we have fun. A bunch of just race cars.
So
I love it.
Just a top layer?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah. It's very heavy, as you might imagine. It's pretty thick. So
worth it. It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
Obviously.
Well, as somebody that built a plywood only splitter for a Camaro, that crap was really heavy. So if there's something you can go on top of it that can add a little bit of strength, I'm good with that.
So this is funny. The thing that really makes it look like a jean is the seam. Okay. So the end plates that the pocket end plates had a seam and a pocket. He figured that out pretty early, but so the seam actually adds some structural rigidity. So like on the top, he'll kind of do some vertical stringers in seams, and that's the real strength of the splitter.
Smart.
So we have we made a silly website called The Speed Is in Our Genes. And so you can go on there and look at some pictures. But so we run those stickers on our cars.
Yep.
So that's probably where you saw it the first time.
Speed in Our Genes is on Instagram as well.
There you go.
That's what I have pulled up right now.
Check them out. Yeah, so we're trying to do some fun, shirts and shit like that later. But Danny's been busy breaking and fixing his car.
What's that like?
I will absolutely take a shirt. Let me know.
Hell yeah. Maybe by Summer Apex, I'm hoping to. Danny made this cool design for his car. He's a graphics designer by trade, so he has his numbers in his car. I think, Robbie, you have a shirt too, but I've always wanted one for me, so we're going to make one for that. And while we're doing that, we'll probably have some Flat Out podcast and Speed in Our Jeans merch too. So
nice.
Are you going to Summer Apex, Adam?
I have no idea yet.
Okay. Just come and get a shirt.
So far away. Yep.
Just grab a shirt. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not the Wednesday before yet, so Adam's not sure.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, that's mostly fair, unfortunately.
I'll hit you up on July 25th. Or whenever we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Targa, because actually I do want to talk about this, and you seem to be deeply involved in it. So let's talk about it.
What is it?
Let's talk about it. Well,
Yeah.
First of all, I need help scumbagging Dusty into coming next year because he was just sitting around doing nothing, being a dad, like a good dad, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
lame.
Do you need a
It's so
co-driver
lame.
for
It's so
such
lame.
things?
I was like, whenever they announced it in February or whatever it was,
Yeah.
I was like, man, that is exactly what I've wanted to do for a really long time.
Where were you?
And then I went out in the garage and looked at my car and was like, I'm not driving that 1,000 miles across Texas and beating the crap out of it on 4 different racetracks.
You're really overthinking this. Do you know what I drove?
So
Somebody else's car.
that was the other thing. I'm not close enough with anybody that had a good car either. So, or that had a
Good car's not a requirement.
I drove a wrecked FRS.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, like Dusty said, I this has been in my brain for a long time. And this is really annoying. The SCCA, I feel like they just refuse to consider other events that would affect attendance to some events, which really kind of grinds my gears sometimes. But anyways, it was right before Smoko and all of our local friends were going to One Lap. So Andy Hollis, some of you might know, is a local in Austin. And so Andy Hollis has literally been asking for this for probably 20 more years. And so he's a member out at a Harris Hill, our local club track. And so I see him like almost every time I go down there. He's usually doing tire tests for GRM. And so he was like, I cannot believe that they overscheduled this on One Lap. So the attendance was really low. We had I think we had like 15 to 20 cars, something around there. But the cool thing was it was their first event since I think 2017. And so they were kind of like winging it. They were figuring it out as they went. And so it was very relaxed, and they were literally like Hayward Wagner's the VP of SCCA, and John Hunter, who runs that program, were like just walking around like, hey, this be interesting to y'all? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And so like that was pretty neat, right? So I was concerned SCCA would do their typical thing. Sorry, I'm going to blast the SCCA right now, but
this is the official podcast of blasting the SCCA.
Good. I know it's such a
Hayward came
bandwagon
on
thing.
here many years ago because we blasted him. So
Yep.
that happened.
Hayward's a good dude, but so anyway,
Yeah, we like them. Him a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, they get it, right? They get it. But sometimes they'll put an event on the Super Lap Battle weekend or whatever they'll do, and then they'll be like, nobody showed up. We're not coming back. We can't afford it. I was very concerned. I was very, very concerned that they wouldn't come back.
They sent an email like 3 or 4 weeks out that was like, hey, if you're interested in this, RSVP. And I think I actually messaged you, Matt, and I was like, this sounds like they're going to cancel this shit.
I was so nervous. So I think they kind of did it as like a loss leader kind of a thing. And it worked out on both sides of that equation because they got to kind of experiment and do some stuff. And the weather was really crazy. Honestly, if we would have had a full set of cars, which I think they're trying to target like 50 or 60, Tuesday would have been really bad, or Wednesday would have been really bad, and I'll get in that in a second. But we were at MSR Motorsports Rent Crescent, which is just south of Fort Worth for the non-Texans in the room. That is, it was biblical rain, and up there, everything's just flat and it just floods every day. So we were driving through literal rivers. I think I don't know if y'all got to look at the pictures yet, but there was a picture of me. We're doing parade laps because we had nothing else to do, and there's two FRSs in front of me picking up 10-foot rooster tails, and then we're in like one of the lakes, and then it's like a straight up water jet. It was crazy wet. Long story short, that was the first day, so we started late anyways. I think we were supposed to be on track at like noon or 1, something like that. We didn't get on track. Like the first car on track doing a competition lap was like 3, I think. So I was like, we're not going to race today. I thought that day was going to be gone, but we ended up, because the group was small, because they were able to kind of move stuff around the format, we were able to get everybody in practice laps, track sprint, and competition. So it was really good. It worked out. So I guess I'll tell you a little bit about the format, unless y'all have questions about anything.
Yeah, I was going to say, take a step back and tell us what exactly Targa is.
Yeah, awesome. So SCCA Targa is, and it's funny. So my buddy Smoko's been running one lap for the past 2 years. He's pretty involved with that group. I don't know that they're like litigious or anything, but I think they have shut down other events for like kind of copying the format or whatever. But from all that I can tell, they're fine with it, right? If anybody's familiar with One Lap of America, it's a very similar format, except it is very different in a very few key ways. Hayward actually hooked me up with JA from Grassroots Motorsport to kind of interview me, and I kind of talked about this in that article a little bit. But it is the reason that I was able to do it is I have a son who's about to turn 4, and obviously my wife is very understanding if you see any of my antics, but one lap is just not even in the question for me, or in the picture for me, for like probably the next 10 plus years. He might be right seating for me before I could even consider doing that. But we left Tuesday night to go drop our cars off at Eagles Canyon, and which is the last track of the event. We had you could drop your cars out there, and then I was gone from Tuesday, and I got back Sunday night. So one lap is like probably over 10 days. It's almost
nearly a full 2-week commitment.
Yeah.
Robbie ran it. Robbie ran it at one point.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
You get there like that Friday, and then you leave Saturday, and then you get done the following Sunday. Like, yes, it's like it's over a week.
Brutal.
Yeah,
it's pretty brutal.
Well, for Austin, Texan people,
to do it
got
out of
a
Texas,
day. You've got a full day transit there and back.
Yep.
Which I mean, we do from here in Iowa too, but not nearly as much as from Austin.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's before you get in your car and drive 6,000 miles or whatever it was.
Right.
But yeah, I was going somewhere with that. Just the contracted thing. Oh, I'm also a contractor at my job, so I don't have PTO or anything like that. So I kind of like plan out my year, obviously, to balance all that out. But being on the road for 2 weeks is, not only is it tough on the family life, but if that's a thing in your life, but also it would hit the finances on the contractor side of things. So it was perfect. So we're in Austin, so we're basically in the middle of all these tracks. So we left Austin, went north, came down to Crescent, went to let me just start over. The track list was Motorsports Ranch Crescent, which is just south of Fort Worth. That was day 1. Day 2 was Harris Hill Raceway, which is my local track. It's 25 minutes from my house, south of Austin. Then we went to Houston on Friday. That was that's south of Houston, like pretty much on the coast in a town called Angleton. And then our longest commute of the trip was basically from the Gulf all the way up to Decatur, Texas. So that's like you're crossing pretty much the north-south entirety of Texas, which is really neat, because that was the one lappy part of it. Every other trip that we did, or all the other transits, were kind of like 2-3 hours. It wasn't a big deal, right? But that Friday, we ran the track in the morning, got on the road, and it was I can't remember how many hours it took, but imagine driving across the entire state of Texas. So so that was the Target specific portion of the week. And then, this is what I really like about it. They tie all the SCCA Targa events to a time trials event, or I guess they're calling it Time Attack now, something like that. So Eagles Canyon, which is probably my favorite track in Texas. Danny and I have been going there for a long time. I was excited to get up there. I haven't been up there in a couple years in my red car. So we got there Friday night, set up camp, did all that stuff, and then ran the Time Attack as if it was a normal Time Attack. So we actually kind of broke the band up for the co-drivers that were in it. So you were able to bring a second car to compete in Time Attack if you wanted to. So some people obviously still shared a car throughout that weekend, but for the people that brought their cars, we were like kind of doing our own thing after that. So it kind of transitioned to a different type of event for me because like I've never like hung out with my friend Jonathan, who owns the car, that long before, and it was really cool. We had a really good rapport, and we were able to pack it and do all that stuff. It was really efficient. But like you kind of get in that mode of, you know, I'm coordinating with you the whole time, and then we're doing all this stuff, and we're coordinating on track, and then we're talking about, you know, how to be fast and everything. And then by the time we got to Eagles Canyon, it was kind of like a different vibe. It was a much slower pace, and you know, you're just sitting there in paddock all day instead of having to drive from the hotel and set up and all that stuff.
Yeah, the flow of the days with the transits and then getting to the track. I did drag week with my dad in 2009.
Nice. How many days is that?
So it's Monday through Friday.
Okay.
And then it was around 1,100 miles, something like that.
That's not bad.
So we got by Wednesday morning, we got to where we just rolled up to we rolled into a parking spot on the track and say anything. We just got out and unhooked the trailer, pulled the tires off, swapped the tire. Like it was like nothing was said at any point. We had our game plan from the night before of like, this is what we're going to try for today. And yeah, it's a cool, that idea of driving something that you're taking on track is just, that will never not be cool to me because I like functional cars, like dedicated track only race cars. I love that they exist. I love that other people have them. I can't, for my brain and my life, I can't imagine something that I can't just go dick around on the street with. So
yeah. Well, that was funny because my red car is street legal. I run in a class for SCCA called XA, which is it's a requirement to be street legal. So I have a license plate on it and everything. But I was thinking about it, and like I have wipers and all that stuff, but I don't think my car would have made it through the first day because that torrential rain. We drove through this like a kind of a low water crossing situation, and my buddy's Mustang, which is pretty stock, it had some like electrical issues just from like going through that amount of water. I was like, no, my car wouldn't have made it. So I think the choice of car, which was like my favorite type of car. Some people don't really like the 86s; they don't have a lot of power. But I'm a huge FR kind of guy, like the 240SX type of car, right? I really like how they're balanced, and I like that it's pretty light and all that stuff. So the car is prepped to an SCCA autocross class called SSC Solo Spec Coupe, and so it's a pretty simple formula. It's a stock car, stock engine. I think you do like springs, shocks, sway bars, and maybe some camber mods, something like that. And then everybody's on a 7.5-inch wheel with 225s, Falcons. It's a spec tire. I'm used to a 295 Bridgestone, right? I'm used to like aero and all this stuff. So it was actually really fun to be in a no aero, tiny tire car that was really well balanced. So I actually had a ton of fun. And then that thing ate up miles. It was crazy. It had about, I think the car has about 100,000 miles on it, but it wasn't creaky yet. It was fine. And it had a radio and AC and all that stuff. So yeah, I would have been pretty miserable and stressed out in my red car going on that trip, but the FRS was really awesome. And then real quick, one story about that. 3 weeks before we left, my buddy called, hey, dude, I'm sorry, I'm out of Targa. I was like, what's happening? He goes, I was driving home from the autocross. And I just hit me on the interstate and just ran into me. So downtown Austin, and this is my nightmare, is getting run over by a semi on the highway. I don't know why. It's never happened to me, but it's just like it always stresses me out, like being close to those. So I was like, I don't know how you didn't crap your pants there. But so he was downtown Austin. They're going like 40 miles an hour, and this truck just like pulls over on him. Probably couldn't see him or something like that. And then so the lugs like just ripped the whole side of the car.
Oh, jeez.
Ripped through the door, the front fender door and rear fender. And so he was obviously stressed out about it. So I was like, hey, man, whatever you got to do, it's fine. We'll figure something out. We'll drive my B or Z or something like that. And, but yeah, he got over it. And then so we threw a door on there and just raced it with a fucked up rear quarter panel. But it was so it went from like, I'm okay buying this car if I need to, you know, it's a track car. So into like, oh, this is a free car. So he got a big check from the insurance company. And so I treated that car as if I owned it, and I beat the hell out of it. And it was awesome. I loved it.
That's a good, I think because that's a previous generation car, right?
First gen. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, like the power level on those, especially, it's like, that seems like a good car to just be able to just go out on a track that you're blind on the first part of the day and just send it.
And I'd never been to Motorsports Ranch Crescent, which is crazy because everybody loves that track. And it's great. I've been meaning to get up there. And then also MSR Houston. So that was another obvious benefit of the Targa setup is I was able to knock 2 tracks off my list plus visit 3 tracks that I love that I'd already been to. So it was really fun. But the cool part about the FRS specifically, what do they make, like 200 horsepower or something like that? I was able to, you know, drive it at 10 tenths. Hey, wow, not intentional, and not worry about, you know, rolling it or anything because it's slow. So
you were able to drive it flat out, you might say.
I was able to drive it.
Oh man, here we go.
All right, Dad.
I listened to there's a podcast that Ross Bentley and Jeff Brown and Sam Smith do, and it's the title of it is "It's Not the Car," and they always work their way back to one of them saying like, "Well, I hate to say it, but it's not the car."
Yep, we know what we did.
So yeah, there was a guy driving a NASCAR truck.
Yeah, that was weird.
Speaking of misery,
so. Obviously, I'm excited about it. I really, every day I have a new project idea that pops in my head, but I really wanted to do a NAS truck for like GLTC. Like, I really want one. I think it'd be awesome. Like a proper Roval car, not a whatever asymmetrical chassis or whatever. Something that you could actually make a track car. So this dude he submits his entry or whatever. I don't know how people found out about it, but he has a. It looks like it's an S10 body, but he has it registered as like a 1995 Dodge Ram or something. But it had full registration and plates and everything. He put wipers and blinkers on it and everything. The problem was he's like a Baja guy. He races in the sand, right? So he's got a full program, knows what he's doing. But he got this like wild hair to buy a NAS truck. Like I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 months before the event, and so. Y'all are very much aware of how this story ends. So he didn't really have time to like shake this down. So he shows up late to the first day on the trailer, and it was a bad start to begin with. They had this crazy rig. It was like a heavy duty. I don't know if it's probably the equivalent of a 350 or 450 Dodge Ram pickup dually with a flatbed. It was gnarly. It was their Baja sport truck. So that would towed the thing to the event. And then, so they got off.
Gosh,
it was sick. It was sick. I think I sent you all some pictures.
That's kind of like a dick flex, but that's funny.
So we're all very excited about this thing, but they had that thing on jack stands more than they had it on track. Unfortunately, it broke the entire time. So like the thought of it is the coolest thing I've ever seen, but like it was a bit of a letdown just because like we saw it there. But then couldn't like see it run. And he'd also never done any sort of track experience, which is fine. Like, you know, being a noob. But I think he got a couple of laps at Harris Hill, and it was pretty pedestrian in terms of speed. But I mean, just that whole spectacle of it was very very awesome.
I think it has. Are those radial TAs?
Yeah, and so I think the motor was.
Oh my god!
pretty well warmed over LS, but it wasn't anything too crazy. But it was, you know. Like I said, he's a racer, so he did all the normal tricks to it, I think. But yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
there was one of the other crazy cars there. A lot of them were just what you'd expect, like, you know, something you could drive around Texas in 5 days. But a guy showed up with his daughter. I think she was probably like 14. It was she was driving, so she had to have been at least 16. But it was a C6 Z06 with a blower on it, and it was making some steam. And so at MSR Crescent, it was really wet and damp and slick. And he was doing a drag race, just spinning tire like the entire, like when he was in a corner, the tires were just roasting. And so it was pretty crazy. But yeah, he wasn't able to go really fast, if you might imagine.
My thing for one lap has always been that I want to do it in just something really calm and chill with cushy seats and cruise control and air conditioning the first year, and then our Camaro the second year.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. That's the way to do it.
Like figure out how to work all of the logistics and the mental aspect of it with something where you don't have to worry about the car, and then just submit yourself to ultimate total misery the second time around.
I have a professional recommendation for you. Yesterday I was in a student asked me to give him some track tips. So I have a T5 Blackwing with a 6-speed, and it was very comfortable. It had AC seats. So go ahead and get one of those. It, not only is it incredibly luxurious, it was very fast. I think we're hitting, what were we hitting on the back straight? Probably 150s, 160s.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. We had AC blasting the whole time. So
we happen to know a guy. It's not a CT5, but we do know a guy with.
Nice.
He's trying to corner the market on gray title CT4s.
Ooh,
yes.
Wait,
so Dalton has.
You could buy them.
Dalton has at least 2, if not 3, Blackwings.
And if he gets 1 or 2 more, he'll have 1 complete car. Yeah.
What? How are they gray market? What's going on?
They're.
He's buying them off. He's buying them off auctions. They've
crashed
wrecked in one form or another.
I thought you were saying it was like
some of one of them that he has. I think has a clean title, but we have a video. He sent us a video of him draining. I'm pretty sure was it the transmission or the engine? I'm pretty sure it was the transmission.
It was the engine.
Was it the engine?
Yep.
And it's literally 45 seconds to a minute long, and it's perfectly clear water, just full pressure, like it was coming out of your garden hose, just pissing water out of there. But he drained it all, put oil in it, and I've driven the car. It runs fine. There was no, we're pretty sure that somebody crashed it into a curb because it's got a bunch of, one of the back driver's side was all damaged and the wheel was fucked. But you could tell that the last thing the tires had done was a burnout. You know what I mean?
Because it had the strips on them. Yeah, for sure.
You could tell.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rubber on the fender wells and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think my guess is probably some dad let his teenage son use it, and then he crashed it and decided that faking flood was the better option or something. I don't know, but they filled it up with water and registered it as flooded is what I think happened.
Yeah, because that engine never ran with water in it. That water was drinkable clear. Drinkable.
I mean, it was perfectly clear.
Yeah, no,
if I remember
zero
right,
oil in the engine.
The trans and rear diff were both also all full of water.
Yes,
but they clearly never ran that way. No, it's a stick.
Oh, nice.
All of the ones that he has are manuals.
Cool. Those are rare.
Yeah. So it's a whole thing.
I got the itch. My wife has a 2023 Ford Bronco, and we were waiting for 2 freaking years on that thing. And I have a 23 BRZ. I was waiting on both cars. We had orders in, but I was I kind of want something. So I couldn't afford it, but I went on the Cadillac site and I priced one out, a CT4 Blackwing, and it ended up being like $75K. So a little bit out of my reach.
Yeah. They're wild.
Yeah. You just got to find one that's had some water poured in it.
See, but that's my speed. I could buy a Copart CT4 Blackwing for sure. It'd be awesome.
I think the biggest thing he's run into is trying to get the anti-theft stuff turned off on it. He was driving it around with just nothing in the dash working at all.
When I drove it, there were a lot of things that did not necessarily work in it. And I don't know that it was making full power, but it was plenty fast just to where we drove it. I mean, it was, I could see that being a ridiculously good daily driver.
You should get one of those little A-pod, the gauge pods from the early 2000s, just tech screw that to the A-pillar of the CTSV and or whatever, CT4 Blackwing.
Lean into it.
And just run the gaugeless, full redneck.
So the problem was for a while there, like we were supposed to take it to PRI this year, but like you couldn't even move the seats. And like the HVAC wasn't working, and like literally anything that's electronic is all tied into the anti-theft in that car. So the radio doesn't work, the HVAC didn't work, you couldn't move the seats, didn't have nothing worked.
Yeah, new car sucked.
Yeah. So that was the hardest part about it. But he's got buddies that work at dealerships, and he just like waits his turn and makes things happen. And we just laugh and pretend like it didn't happen that way. So.
Does he have a running car yet?
Yeah, I think the one.
Nice. Okay.
I think the one that was flood damaged. I think is his. I think he's driving that to work almost every day at this point.
No speedo, no fuel gauge, nothing.
No, I think that all works now. He's got that all fixed.
Okay. Got it. That's good.
So I think.
Yeah, because I need like a key.
I don't know. When I drove it, it was. We'll call it 7/8 of the way there.
Nice.
Because my dad and I went every time that I go visit, because I grew up in the town that Dalton lives in, and whenever we go visit my grandparents, my dad and I make a trip to go see Dalton because you have to, right? Like there's going to be some ridiculous and dumb thing that he's up to, no matter when you stopped, and you just got to see what he's doing that day, right? So last time we were there, they were putting together a base ATS that they were working on flipping, and we took out the Blackwing and drove it around for a little while. So, because I was trying to talk my dad into buying it. So,
we have an extra guest.
We do.
Nice.
All right. My kid's been a champ. He's been watching his show downstairs. But
I have
to say hi.
One of my cats snuck in here somehow. Before the show started, he must have been sleeping in my daughter's closet or something. So he's just like walking around here looking at me. I'm waiting for him to be a pain in the ass. But yeah,
kids are just expensive pets, so it's the same.
Well, I have both. So
oh god,
whoops.
So I have a question about the one of the cars in y'all's group was the like spec Mustang, right?
Yeah.
It's the new SCCA spec class thing that's supposed to be able to do anything and everything.
Yeah, that's my buddy Rob's car. So Rob and I would go way back. I had a C5 Corvette that was prepped to B Street Autocross. It was one of my favorite autocross cars before the BRZ. It's just fun at autocross and track and all that stuff. But so we co-drove for a couple years in that car. And I co-drove his BRZ. He has a 23 BRZ as well. So we've been kind of hanging out for a long time, but he bought this. It's called Club Spec Mustang, I think, right? And so it's a very specific and weird Mustang. And there was a goal to it, which I agree with. They wanted something that like a cheap car that nobody gives a shit about, right? So specifically, oh man, Dusty, I don't know if you read much about it, but I think it's like 2005 to 2009, the 4.6, so the garbage motor Mustang that. And I think you could run them automatic or manual. It's just a very specific spec, and so you can change, mix and match parts to get. I think the final drive ratio has to be the same, so you have to do that if your car didn't come with a 3.5 or whatever the hell it was. But it is brakes are optional. So Rob threw some Brimbos or whatever the heck comes on it on the front, and I can confirm they are amazing brakes. It's got shocks and springs. A little bit of camber and some sway bar. It's really simple. And so the point of it is like, if y'all are familiar with the Solo Spec Coupe SSC kind of class, it's to where you can just go to a website and order a list of parts and they show up at your door and you can build a car. So it's like for people that aren't weird like us and build cars from scratch, you can just select all the parts and put it together. So the funny thing was Rob put the brakes and suspension on it and diff and whatever. And we took it down to our local track. And so we were riding around on there, running around, and there's an option to put safety in your car. So you can do seats and harnesses in a harness bar and all that stuff. And he had the stock seats, and I'm a really small person. I'm like 5'3". And so I was just like, I was laughing because I couldn't like hold on to the steering wheel enough. I was just like smashing around in the car. So it was those cheap Ford leather seats that just were slicker than snot, and it was really hard to drive because I couldn't like control my body in the car. But besides that, Rob's always had like IRS stuff. He had an S550 Mustang and things like that, and so he was very uncomfortable driving a stick axle car. Because Dusty knows this, right? And Adam, I don't know if you probably do solid axle stuff too, but like, you know, the car just kind of moves around a lot on you. And
whatever's happening on the left side is also happening on the right side, and vice versa.
Exactly. So I had a Firebird. I had a non-Trans Am. So it was a Formula Firebird with an LS1 6-speed that I autocrossed in ESP for a couple of years. And so yeah, I you know, double wishbone on the front, handles decent. I guess the Mustang isn't, but yeah. So I'm kind of used to the car moving around, and I drive a 240SX, so I'm very comfortable with the car, just, you know, floating around like that. But yeah, he was taking some took some getting used to. But like I was saying earlier, we drove through this storm on the way to MSR Crescent, and he basically was chasing issues the whole time. So the car was really well prepped and was doing great on track, but he was having electrical issues. And then as soon as I got down to Harris Hill for day 2, this is the weirdest failure I've seen at the track. The alternator has like a press but pulley, and it spun off of the pulley, so it wasn't charging. They couldn't figure out what was going on because everything looked okay. So yeah, he had to get another alternator. The alternator in the paddock, and my buddy Danny was able to get some hardships lap at the very end of the day. So they're almost DSQ'd from the day because right before competition runs, but he was able to get it fixed. But yeah, that car was really fun. Unfortunately, they had to bow out, and they ended up finishing the weekend in Rob's BRZ.
Yeah, the concept of, and like I went and filled out, because they sent out like surveys to people about, you know, like what do you think that this like spec class thing looks like? And then whenever they announced what they had picked for it, I was like, that's a 20-year-old car. So your spec class, where you go and you check the boxes and you get the things and you put them on, but then you have to be a mechanic because it's a 20-year-old car. Like there's just stuff that happens with a 20-year-old car. So I appreciate the idea of it, and I think this, like the solo coupe thing with the FRS and BRZ, I feel like that, like we had a good sized group of those running locally, and they looked like they were having a ton of fun. And it's a set package where you can, you know, do your little bit of tuning to it. But
we probably like 10 to 15 second gen 86s down in Spokes of the Autocross Club. Yeah, they're everywhere, right? So I actually requested in that survey the second gen 86 should have a class. But what did you want? Like, what just generally, like, what were you kind of hoping would come from that?
A Z car.
What was it? Oh, yeah.
Z.
HRZ.
Somewhere where his Z would be competitive. Yeah, he wanted his Z to be competitive somewhere.
No,
he's fine. That'd be great too.
Well, and I don't like, I don't think I'm the target audience, because I want to do something weird because I'm a glutton for punishment. So, but it was just odd to me to find, you know, that age of car to pick and base it around. So, and then I think the other one was like is an NC Miata. Yeah,
so that was another car that's unloved by the community, right? So yeah, they chose the NC Miata, and I don't know anything about the Miatas, but yeah, actually I have a really good friend. His name's Yusuf. He was instructing out at COTA with me this weekend, but he bought an NC for kind of similar reasons. NA and NBs are getting crazy price nowadays, and nobody gives a shit about NCs. So he got a 2-liter. He's been track prepping it, and it's very fast in capable hands. But that's like one of those bargains that still kind of.
I will never forget the very first Super Lap. They showed up with that NC Miata. I can't remember who was driving it.
Jensen Little.
Jensen
Little,
who runs one of them P cars now. He showed the first year, and it looked like a very basic bolt-on like Aero. Had a wing. Easy wing, but had a wing, had a front splitter and air dam. It was very basic looking, though. But it turns out it made like 650 horsepower. It made the jam, and it was pretty sure it was sequential shifted.
Yeah, sequential with like a
Yeah.
Turbo Ecotech or something.
I thought it was the
or Turbo
original
LF
motor, but turboed.
or maybe so. But
I thought it was the original motor, but he was like third or fourth fastest overall.
God damn.
yeah, he
When
was running.
Houghton
he ran
was
like
there
a,
with the Integra, and the Life GTR was there, and then it was him.
he ran like a 17 in like
Yeah,
2019 with a Miata that just looked like a Miata from the outside. It was
like-
the most
like it-
mind-boggling crap.
I will never forget watching that car freight train down the back straightaway and like completely redefined my opinion on NC Miatas.
Yeah.
So
Dusty, I have a question for you because we were chatting about this yesterday, I think. Earlier. I don't know, whatever. So you said that Superlap was kind of like you said it was like showing up to like an old school drift event back in the day. So I have not only been going to Superlap for probably like 5 years just to like check it out. So was it like pretty janky back in the day? Like how long have they been running it out there?
So 2019 was the first year.
Okay. So I probably have been. I just wasn't.
Or was it 18?
Yeah, either 18 or 19.
So there's always like
sure.
really awesome prepped cars that show up, and I probably was just mesmerized by the GTRs. There's a really badass R32 GTR called like Time Attack the Clock, or that maybe that's not right.
Oh,
So there's
yeah,
something
yeah.
but
Attacking
there's some
the Clock on.
yeah, there's some really crazy like JDM cars that would show up that I was always like super impressed with. But then yeah, like the guys over in my end of the paddock, they were probably showing up in some ratty stuff.
Well, it's been up and down. Like I feel like the first year was kind of like nobody knew what it was.
Yeah.
And then they kind of gained some momentum, and there was a little more like some international stuff, and there was some more of the like what I think of as like JDM, like World Time Attack style out cars. And then I think 2020, like that kind of 2 year span after that, I think people kind of got knocked down, and it turned into just GT3s and Supras and the GTX class, which is just a pro cars doing a test day kind of thing. So it's been it's been an up and down thing over the years. But
it's kind of funny. Go ahead, Adam.
Was it the second year that Ferris won Limited? That it was sponsored by Garrett, and that's how he ended up with the turbos?
Yeah,
that was years ago, so it probably was the second year.
I think that was the second year, yeah. That year, first and second years were, I mean, it's super hipster of me to say it, but they were like, it was almost cooler then, for sure. But, and I remember like being so excited about it because World Time Attack is what got me into this whole thing, this whole mess. And they were talking about how they wanted that to be the World Time Attack of America, right?
Yeah.
And they wanted to bring in international cars, and like that was always like, yep, I gotta go, I gotta support this, I'm gonna go every year. I can't wait for this to be like 10-15 years down the road, and there's these crazy wild cars, and like this is gonna change everything. And unfortunately now it's just kind of not the same.
Yeah,
I think it's still a good event, don't get me wrong, but like it's not the same.
I have a complicated relationship with SLB because the local guys down here, like the younger guys, like let's see, here I am sounding like a grandpa again. They all want to go there because of the stream, and there's like, oh, it's this cool thing that'll get me noticed or whatever. So we were kind of chatting about this. Well, yeah, but we were chatting about this earlier, and it's like, please don't spend $2,000 on this. Literally go to some track event and like get some practice in, because one of my buddies told me I reset my PB out at Coda a couple weeks back, and they were like, oh, you would have been second in street, and this is in my GLTC car with just a bone stock HR. So yeah, it's like the level of competition for like the grassroots guys. A lot of people show up with cars that they haven't really tested. I've been drilling it into these guys, like, please come to Harris Hill. I will take you out there and shake your car down, because I'd say like 80% of the grassroots guys that like it don't really do track stuff like we do. They will just show up with a car that they built, and it blows up per session. Like it's so many cars blow up, and the track is really tough. I have to go nut and bolt my car again because I can't stay off the curbs out there, and I just am rattling my car apart every time I'm out there. But these guys don't even like have like any test mileage on their car. So I'm always just trying to talk people out of Super Lap Battle, but I do love that it exists and like it's such a cool event and it's in my town. It's 25 minutes from my house. I want to support it, but I'm also like, please don't go to it until you're ready, you know?
It's amazing to me how many through the years, how many cars seem to have been just built for that event, like nationwide, and only go to that event every year. And I don't even know that they like take the car out and do test days ahead of time. Like you see Ferris out there at, you know, at his local track.
Yeah, he runs Crescent mainly.
Crescent, yeah, I was wanting to say Crescent, but he's out there all the like, you know, once or twice a month, just banging laps to see if the car's going to hold together, and you know, seeing where it's at and making sure everything's good before he drives halfway across the country. And I think there's a lot of people who show up there with these wild, high-strung builds, and they have none of that time on a local track, and they blow their motors up, and they're done. And
it's just
bummer.
Sorry, my battery about died. That's why it's different location. I was like, I'm gonna get kicked off the call. It's for me. It's kind of like I don't know. Maybe this is too preachy, but I feel like they're doing it for the wrong reasons. Because like, you know, I ain't out here to put shit on my Instagram. I'm like out here doing, you know, I'm on the track. I do too much track stuff. I want to be driving my car. So when I see these younger guys just blow, think about like building a car or whatever, plus the entry fee, you're talking about like anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for whatever. I mean, I just don't see the point of it, but also maybe I'm just a grumpy old man and that's fine too. But yeah, it's become for the local community specifically at that level. It's become a little weird, but yeah, I mean, so that LMP3 car is nuts. Who is it? It's Cole. What's Cole's last name? The guy who drives the GTR. Is that the Life GTR?
Allison.
Yep.
Yeah.
Allison.
So he's always out there going crazy fast. It's
And that's another car that doesn't seem like, unless they're running Pikes Peak, like, and they've been running Pikes Peak with a different car, like they just, unless they're just not putting it out there, that car seems like it gets kind of uncovered a few weeks before and they roll it down. I also apologies to them if that's not the case, but it doesn't, like, it hasn't seemed like.
Well, I watched some video. I think Von Gittin Jr. was talking to Hurt. Oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. When T-Pain bought his new RTR car, they were talking about like they've got a pretty pedestrian motor in that thing, so they wouldn't have to rebuild it every season. So like the Formula D guys are like doing a full brand new engine every however many events, and so like yeah, at some point, at some level, you're just dumping money into it, and it's just like kind of unless you're not worried about money, it's pretty rough to keep like a car at that level running. You know, what are they making, 1,000 horsepower or something like that? I don't even know what the fast guys run at Super Lap Battle power wise.
Yeah, I know.
It's all 4 digits. I mean, it's a varying number, but it's all 4 digits.
Yeah, Ferris is on the max tune is like 1,200 to the wheels, and apparently I just saw him over the weekend, and apparently his has been hurt for a little while, so he just swapped the engine out of the second car into it to get it ready to send back to Australia. So
Ferris is making 400.
4 digits.
No, 1,200.
Yeah.
1,200. I heard 4 digits. Okay, I was like
4
digits.
Oh, that doesn't make any sense.
4 digits.
Yeah, he's only making 400. What are you doing?
Oh my God. Not 20 whatever.
So
Yeah, I know. It's hard. It's hard for me.
So, well, it's getting late, boys.
Yep.
It really is.
So,
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, man.
It's been fun.
I'll get to hang out with Robbie only next week. I guess.
Sounds
Dusty,
like
are you
it.
going?
Yep.
He couldn't be bothered.
I need to look at things and see if I can make Road America happen.
Everybody, scumbag Dusty, tell him to go to Summer Apex.
Nope.
He needs to go.
Or Mid Ohio.
Or all of them.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mid Ohio's got a pond. Road America doesn't. So that makes that decision a little bit harder, honestly.
Get them fishing poles.
Yeah.
I want to go shoot Road America, so
Yeah, that'd be cool.
maybe I'll have to try to make that happen.
Awesome.
Matt, where can people find you?
At the track. That was lame. So I am I'm Flat Black 240SX on Instagram. If you do that sort of thing,
Wait a second.
Go ahead.
Why isn't it a red 240SX? Doesn't make any sense.
Old internet name is my first internet name. I just rolled with it.
Okay.
I'm also this is how uncreative I am. My name is Matt. I didn't choose Matt Black. I chose Flat Black. Like, what was I thinking? Anyways, so I've got a podcast to do with my Australian friend. He's just, I figured I'd throw out the credentials there. It's called Flat Out Podcast, and we basically just chew the fat like y'all do, but it's about centers around what we do in Texas. And Smoko is insane. He doesn't have kids and he's younger, and so he does one lap and he's on the road. We're flat out, but yeah, so that's it, and I'll see y'all at Midwest Fest. Let's see, my whole family's going up to Road America for Summer Apex this year, and then my last race is going to be. This is my wife. This is my. She'll be there, and then my last race of the year is going to be at Audubon Country Club in September with Good Life, running GLTC in my raid car. Yeah,
awesome.
Hope to see y'all out there.
Yeah, our paths will definitely be crossing a couple times this year for sure.
Awesome.
I think I just realized that he's promoted his personal social media more than we ever have on the show.
Yes, absolutely.
I'd have to use mine in order to care about.
Yeah,
I'm real bad.
I literally
about it.
I go out in the garage and I do stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna take some pictures of this. Like, it's not for like sponsorship or anything. I'm always doing something in the garage, so that's what it's for.
Yeah. No, when you do that, I enjoy it. So like, you're the type of person that does social media because, hey, I'm doing this cool thing.
Yeah,
and I'm just sharing the fact that I'm doing this cool thing, and that's it. Like,
you're not doing it. You're not doing it to put on the gram. You're doing it and happen to just put it on the gram.
And that's
you would be doing it whether you had Instagram or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the type of content I like to see.
Exactly.
Facts.
So, well, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man.
Yep.
It's been fun.
Been a good show.
All right. We'll chat with you later.
See you guys. We'll catch everybody else next week.